Hi, this is Colleen Tantello, and I'm going to talk to you about my observation in a simulation lab. It was quite interesting. I actually loved it. I went to the University of Rochester School of Nursing, and John McIntyre was nice enough, he was the nurse educator, that allowed me to watch a simulation in process. What they do at the University of Rochester is on Fridays they have they have 2 to 3 students that come in at a time. It's held from on Fridays 8 to 5. And like I said, there's only 2 to 3 students that come at a time, and they go all day and take turns. What happens for the students is that John gives them a scenario, he gives them a case. He presents it like he would as a nurse giving shift report. So basically, the nurses come in at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he gives them the history of the patient, what the patient's in for, what's been happening to the patient, what's needed for the patient, the medications that are due, what duties are still due at that time, and what happened to the patient on his shift. He then leaves the room, and the 2 students, the first group I saw was 3 students, the next one was 2. He leaves the room and he goes in the back room where the students can't see him, and there's where the computer is that simulates the mannequin, which is totally amazing to me. He's able to talk through a microphone. He has a headset and a microphone. He's able to talk for the patient. The mannequin actually rises, the chest rises and falls. They're able to listen to lung sounds. They're actually able to check pulses. And they have a monitor up that gives the vital signs. He's able to control the vital signs the patient's having. It's just beyond amazing. The nurses also are supplied with a computer that is like electronic medical documentation. The medications are there that they can see and view for the patient. And there's also a phone in the room where they can contact whoever they need to contact. For instance, if there was something that they need from the doctor, they can page the doctor through that phone. They can call the pharmacy. It was really, truly amazing. I just can't believe how high tech this is. So the observations of the students were able to perform the skills in a safe environment. They were flustered at times, but they worked together amazingly. They would actually pick things out if one was doing something that was not correct. For instance, they had to hang vancomycin, and the one nurse was hanging the secondary tubing into the IV, and the other nurse was explaining to her that she actually told her that she should hang it actually on the IV fluid as a secondary. So they were really helpful to each other. They did utilize the phone. They did call the provider on call, and the educator would get on the phone and tell them, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to give the patient a fluid bolus. I'm going to put new antibiotic orders in. And what happened with the bolus, though, the nurses didn't program it correctly. So it was interesting and fun to watch. But they did try to help each other out in a huge way. The one thing that I really loved about this, after a half an hour of them working in the simulation lab, John said, okay, the simulation's done. And we all sat down and had discussion and debriefing. It was great. The educator, John, was able to see the areas that the nurses need more education, re-education on. He also went into the physiological aspect of the patient, why the patient was becoming septic, what was happening to the patient, what was happening to his blood pressure, why was this happening, how can we stop this patient? The patient was in septic shock. How can we help the patient? He talked about the fluid overload on the patient. It's important to listen to the lungs. He talked about the vasodilation. It was truly amazing, to be honest with you, how well this program works for these students. And in a situation where it's a safe environment and there's no harm to any patient, and they're able to practice scenarios that actually do happen in the hospital setting. So I really felt the debriefing was really huge aspect to this. So nursing in the future, I am jealous, really jealous. When I went to nursing school, I didn't have any of this. I am so amazed and impressed how this mannequin can work and how these students can practice in a safe environment with no harm to the patient in an area where they have backup. And what was also nice is that they worked together, which in the healthcare field, you are going to be working together. You're going to have to collaborate with multiple people in the healthcare industry. So they not only learned about the collaboration, they were able to use electronic medical documentation. They were able to use that, and that is in most hospitals where they're going to have to be familiar with where to document where the medications are. The educators able to see the areas that the nurses or students need re-education on. And another huge benefit is for the students. They get a lot of education in this in a safe environment, and they're able to work together. And I just want to say John was amazing, and I really thank them, the university, for allowing me to come here and watch this. I really feel that technology is the way of the future, and the things that are available to these students and as educators is amazing, and we need to utilize these. I was talking to the educators, there were two of them there, and they said a lot of the educators aren't comfortable with the technology and they don't want to teach the simulation. And I can see that. It can be scary. So it is very important for educators to be educated on how to use this technology, how to use the resources that are available, because this is huge and nurses need to be educated in this, and this is a great, great way for them to be educated. So I'm so glad for this experience.